Welcome, colleagues, to the Global Coalition to Address Synthetic Drug Threats. This is the May session of the East Group, Subworking Group 3.3. I'm going to share my screen to provide some announcements. First, I want to share that today's session for Working Group 3 includes presentations from civil society organizations. My thanks first to the Vienna NGO Committee for the past work in hosting meetings of civil society, compiling initiatives and recommendations, and we will be posting a lot of that information on the website in the weeks to come. This session includes presenters from civil society organizations, but I want to highlight that the participants are still the government participants. We did not open up the entire meeting for civil society to participate in it. It's only the presenters. And we also have government presenters as well, so it's not exclusively civil society. For our usual practice, we will be recording the presentations, but not the discussions for today's session. Now, I'd like to invite all of our government representatives on the line to the next phase of the coalition's work, which is to begin reporting on the actions that have been taken to address synthetic drug threats. We have began that outreach through our U.S. embassies. U.S. embassies in your countries have reached out to your foreign ministries to request that those actions be compiled and shared with the global coalition. We're also sharing the reporting process with you here today, and I will describe that in some detail in the next slide. We will also be sending you an official letter requesting a report of all of your actions. Now, these actions will be shared once we receive them from you. They'll be shared on the website, and some of the content will also be shared in the Year 1 report as well. So what can you report? What can you provide in this reporting? First, you can provide the narrative on the adoption of a new practice, a policy, a strategy, a regulation, or a law. Basically, any national action that has been taken from July of last year when the coalition began, all the way through September of this year when we issue this report at the UN General Assembly, which is where we're looking to release it. So that's the first thing that you can provide in the report. Second, launching of any new engagements or collaboration with the private sector. Third, if you could provide a written description of any financial support that you've provided bilaterally, including through international organization partners, or any in-kind assistance to build capacity of another government or country, or to advance a synthetic drug initiative. Next, the hosting of a regional or global meeting of the coalition on a thematic area of interest, whether it be a past event or one that you are going to host in the next couple of months. Fifth, and this is the famous menu of the initiatives that we have on our website of international organizations, your expression of interest for any specific initiative of that menu would also count, and your participation in these global and regional networks would also count as one of these actions. And finally, any other act that you are taking to strengthen your country's response to synthetic drugs, consistent with the recommendations. Now, here's some guidelines for submitting the report. We're asking that the reports be no longer than 2 pages, so up to 2 pages in total, not more. And the format should be in Microsoft Word or in an email, so we can copy and paste the text. It can be in English or in your national language. And the deadline is June 3rd. We're asking for submissions, please, by the 3rd of June. Please email those submissions to syntheticscoalition@state.gov. Next, I want to share with all of you that the recommendations have been posted, the final recommendations that were agreed to last month. They can be found in an orange bar, which you can find on the timeline of the coalition. And finally, I want to remind everybody that the last opportunity to present is coming up for the coalition. We only have 2 more sessions to present, the June session and the July session. So if you are interested to present in an upcoming session, please send us that request as soon as possible. Again, through the same email, syntheticscoalition@state.gov. So with that, I'm going to say that if there are any further questions about the report or your reporting, you can email us, you can add it to the chat, or if we have time at the end of the session today, you can ask it there. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I am going to turn it over to our two co-chairs for today, Dr. Daulet Baipisov and Dr. Adis Manguera. Over to our colleagues. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Brian, for the introduction. So I am formally welcoming everyone to the May 16 meeting of the Sub-Working Group 3.3, Addressing Populations in Contact with the Criminal Justice System, including alternatives to incarceration. So we are quite fortunate to have at least 4 speakers for today. We have speakers from Kenya and from Kazakhstan. So allow me to introduce them to you, all of them, so that you will have an overview of what we will be having for this for today. Our first speaker will be Yvonne Orlando. She is the Director of Public Education, Advocacy, and Rehabilitation of NACADA, or the National Agency for the Campaign Against Drug Abuse in Kenya. She will be talking about synergy between government and civil society organizations on ATI implementation. So she's from the Ministry of Interior of Kenya, so from the government side. Now, for the CSOs of Kenya, our second speaker will be Taib Abul Rahman. He is the Executive Director of Reach Out Center Trust, which provides preventive and treatment services to people with substance use disorders. Another representative, our third speaker from the CSO, is Hussein Taib. He's from MEWA Health and Harm Reduction. And from Kazakhstan, we will be having later in person, Ardak Zanabilova. So those will be our speakers for this day. While they're speaking, feel free to type in your questions. We will be addressing them together with my partner, Dr. Dolet, a bit later. So let's start with our first speaker, Yvonne Orlando from the NACADA Ministry of Interior of Kenya.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're listening from. My name is Yvonne Orlando from NACADA, Kenya. I'll be presenting on the synergy between governments and CSOs on ATI implementation. When you're looking at the legal framework of Kenya, Kenya acceded to the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs of 1961, the Convention on Psychotropic Substances of 1971, and the United Nations Convention Against Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances. In Kenya, we have the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Act that criminalizes the possession and use, trafficking, and even being found in a room where people are using drugs. We have the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse in NACADA, by the Act of 2012 that coordinates multi-sectoral efforts to prevent, control, and mitigate the effects of alcohol and drug abuse. Looking at the Kenya prison population, the official occupancy rate for prisons is 34,000, but currently we are at 57,000. That's about 173% occupancy rate. Out of this, 41% are pre-trial detainees or remand prisoners. And out of this, 6.5% are serving sentences that are drug-related. And this is where we want to push more on the ATI. CND Resolution 58.5 advocated for supporting collaboration of public health and justice authorities in pursuing alternative measures to conviction or punishment for appropriate drug-related offenses of a minor nature. Now, the government of Kenya, through NACADA, and with the support of UNODC, debuted an initiative dubbed Treatment and Care for People in Contact with the Criminal Justice System, Alternatives to Conviction or Punishment. And to be able to manage this, we have a steering committee that cuts across. So at the ministry level, we have NACADA, which is under the Ministry of Interior. So NACADA is the secretariat to the committee. We have under the criminal justice system agencies, we have the National Council on Administration of Justice, you have Judiciary, Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, National Police Service. Under this, we have the Kenya Police, Administration Police, and Directorate of Criminal Investigations, Probation and Aftercare Services, and the Kenya Prison Service. Under the Ministry of Health, we have the NASCOP, who majorly focus on HIV and hepatitis, Mental Health and Substance Abuse Division, and Public Health. For the civil society organizations, we have MEWA, which is majorly Muslim-based, Richard Trust, Omari Project, ISAP Kenya, SAPTA, Rodi Kenya, and Faraja Foundation. These CSOs are the ones who majorly run the rehabilitation facilities that we have in the country. And working with them helps to actualize the 8-year efforts. Otherwise, the major question has been, where do we refer them to? The steps we've taken so far as the ATI committee, we've had 3 targeted multi-agency workshops on ATI. We've had a training for policymakers, which was the first one in September 2021. We had a follow-up meeting where we formed the ATI steering committee. There's a follow-up workshop on the steps that have been made. We have been able to come together to drive the agenda of the ATI by highlighting what exactly should be done. And by this, we've come up with a national action plan that characterizes the short and long-term goals in all the case proceeding stages, the pre-trial, trial, and post-trial. We've also had a training for case care management training and overdose management training for those with substance use disorders and are in conflict with the law. These trainings have been able to target the whole team from the government and also the civil societies. My colleagues will now join us to share about what they do as civil societies when it comes to ATI. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Asante sana, Yvonne. I just want to quickly comment on the presentation that I really appreciate the ATI committee structure presented by Yvonne. It could be a good template for the other countries who are yet to start their ATI program. Also, I also appreciate that they initially have a training for policymakers. They made sure that the top level are on board rather than, doing so many activities down the line, but later on just to be canceled by the top honchos or the executive. So I think that's also a good practice and something to be emulated by other countries as well. Also, they even have follow-up trainings for these policymakers. So this usually for many policy trainings, there's 1 or 2, but there's no follow-up. So follow-up trainings are very, very important just to make sure and to check the progress of the actions of each government agencies. And on the last point, I thank Yvonne for emphasizing the importance of a national action plan with short and long-term goals. I think a national action plan is very important to coordinate the actions of different agencies. Without a plan, without an umbrella plan, it's difficult to, even within the same government, it's difficult to coordinate with the agencies. And also with the plan, they will be able to measure or check the progress of each actions, not only within the government, but also the participation of the CSOs. Now, we will be having the side of the CSO. So we'll be having Taib Abul Rahman from the Reach Out Center Trust.
May name is Taib Abdurrahman, working for Reach Out Center Trust, an organization that deals with prevention and treatment services for key population in Mombasa, Kenya. We are working with the community to give alternative for drug use in terms of rehabilitation, a free house, drop-in center, and also a model of harm reduction where people come in and get services and one roof, that is through the drop-in center, where people can be able to get psychosocial support, HIV treatment and care, tests, psychosocial mental health. And our work has been instrumental, working closely with the county government, national government, to be able to provide legal assistance for people who use drugs. So to our project Alternative to Incarceration, we've been able to work around areas to do with people who have been in contact with law, especially in the areas of pre-arrest. Before they are arrested, we normally have services. So our community work, or community service work, has been in terms of how they can be able to get treatment, get the proper care, rather than taking them to prison. We have seen the number of the prison centers that we are having. 70% of those who are incarcerated have a problem of drug and substance abuse. That's why we work closely with the county government, the national government, working closely with National Campaign Against Drug Abuse, NACADA, which have been able to train us in areas of management of drug use, alternative to incarceration, and how best we can be able to work closely with the criminal justice system. So within the pre-arrest, we've been able to work closely with the community members to understand the law, how to shape the law, and how they can be able to have an alternative rather than going to prison. So in here, we've been able to work closely with the case managers, the case management system, where we can be able to work with the police station, which is an outstanding model that we've been able to work with the law enforcers. We have trained police officers to identify drug users, to be able to work closely with them. We've been able to have access of medically assisted therapy, that is opiates, for those who are incarcerated to be able to get while they are undergoing the criminal proceedings, and also during post-sentencing. So we've been able to work within the three areas of pre-arrest, criminal proceeding, and within the post-sentencing. So within the pre-arrest, we've been able to work it out and bring the alternative for incarceration model in terms of dispute resolution, understanding the problem, we are airing the issues of drug and substance abuse, and also getting the treatment for rehabilitation of drug use. Within the criminal proceedings, we work closely with the police officers through the police stations, where they've been able to identify the people that we work, the people who use drugs. They've been able to manage, they've been able to understand, they've been able to call us while they have done the raid, and we've been able to help them through the police station. And those who are on petty crime, who understand the problem, they've been able to be executed from the prison, from the police station, and we've been able to help them to do the drug rehabilitation or the model of outpatient, to be able to understand. And also over and above this, we provide the mental health support. So through our law enforcement sensitization, our impact through the criminal justice system, participating in court users committee, have brought all about the integration of civil society, that is the NGOs working closely with the government departments, to be able to help the people who use drugs. In this also, we've had a model of community advisory board, where we have people from different sectors sitting in together to guide the program, to guide the harm reduction program, where if anyone has a problem within the community, they can be able to bring it to this board, and it will be analyzed and it will help. This board comprises of the law enforcers, the national government officials, county government officials, the inspectorate, the model of security at the county level, where it's something that is very important to understand. And we've managed to train and also have legal aid sessions within our community, where we've impacted knowledge and how we can be able to follow through the criminal proceedings, and alternative to be having the probation come into contact to us to be able to support the individuals who are having problem rather than taking them through the prison. So the probation has been a department which has supported us fully in terms of understanding the problem and also giving them another chance to be able to go through the treatment and serving their sentence. This has also impacted us the knowledge to be able to work closely with the criminal justice system, the court, the prison, to be able to have the knowledge, share with them the areas of challenges between drug use and also the nexus between drug use and crime, the nexus between law and drug use, which has been outstanding in participation into the meetings of government departments to be able to share with them the challenges that we've been able to do. And this has really given us a lot of support in terms of understanding the community component in alternative for incarceration. Community component plays a bigger role in terms of case management. This also includes the areas of justice, the social services, and also treatment. So within the justice department, we try to enforce the areas of treatment for those who are suffering with drug use disorders, and to be able to have mental illness sessions, and also the supervision between the areas in terms of through the police station to the prison and ultimately if they are. So we try our level best to have intervention within the pre-arrest. So our main effort and our whole community work has been surrounding the areas of pre-arrest. And this has really given us an opportunity to work closely with the community. Because when community are becoming violent, they want to have mob justice to the people who use drugs, they want to burn them through with tires. So we try our level best to make sure that we have the intervention of the police to be able to have the victim taken through the police station, and also from there we try to negotiate the challenge and also the charges and also what are the impact within the community, and putting this impact of drug use and misuse of drugs vis-a-vis the sentencing that this individual will use, because some of them are petty offenses. They are serving their addiction, they are stealing because of their drug use. So this is something that we have tried to advocate at that level of interaction. And this has also led us to have Mombasa bylaws and laws that are really supporting us in terms of harm reduction for people who use drugs, who have been able to access services, mental health services, health conditions that are manageable within our clinics, to be able to give services for comprehensive for health care to our people in the community. Lastly, a component that is very innovative for us is the inclusion of family members, where we try to bring in the family members to be able to have support, to be able to understand the process, and also to own the process of alternative for incarceration, be it in terms of drug treatment, mental health illnesses, because we find this part and parcel of a community. If we work in isolation, if we work in silos, we cannot reach the objective. But bringing in the family members, the guidance, the community to understand the problem within our community has really given us an opportunity to be able to have public participation, involvement of the community, and also to get support from the community. It has been very outstanding because some members of the community plays a very great role in supporting the payment of drug treatment, supporting the payment of mental illness that are very hard to expense. It's very expensive to manage the treatment center. They've been able to support this. So involvement of community members that is at the community level has given us an opportunity to work closely with the community and having that acceptance within the community.
Thank you, Taib. I understand the best situation will be there will be no people with substance use disorder because of our community education and other programs, but I think that's quite utopic and really not possible. The next best situation is that they are deflected by the law enforcement. If they are arrested, then they'll be deflected immediately to rehabilitation programs and other programs available. But the reality is that for most countries, they don't have yet legislations or policy for deflection or even diversion from the criminal justice. So on this point, I laud the Reach Out Center Trust when they collaborate with police officers and police stations to ensure that medical services, including therapy, are available to patients while undergoing the initial steps of criminal proceedings, while we are still working for legislations and policy with regard to deflection and diversion. Last point is that I also appreciate the emphasis of the Reach Out Center Trust of including family members and community members in understanding the problem and acting as a support for the patient or the people with SUDs, because even if we are able to give all the programs to people with SUDs, but they will return to the community, they will return to their families, and without the support of the family in the community, they will go back to their old habits. So thank you very much, Taib. Now we're gonna have Hussein Taib from MEWA Health and Harm Reduction.
Alternative to incarceration, the MEWA experience. Our journey of 1,000 miles with people with substance use disorders began more than 25 years ago. My name is Hussein Taib, and I work as a program advocacy officer with MEWA Health and Harm Reduction Services. We work at the Kenya coast, in Mombasa, the Kenya coast. We actually began our work with sensitization, prevention, and treatment, and opened our first treatment facility in 2001. The Kenya Constitution of 2010 was a game changer in our work. It gave rise to promotion of health and human rights services, while Article 159 allowed courts and tribunals to promote alternative forms of dispute resolution through negotiation, reconciliation, mediation, and arbitration. While the Narcotic and Psychotropic Substance Control Act reserved some section on treatment and rehabilitation, having some section for committal of persons with petty drug of substance use disorders with petty drug offenses to be committed to for treatment services. This gave rise to harm reduction services, and initially we started with the NSP program, and in 2015 it is when we rolled out the methadone program in the town of Mombasa, September 2015. This coincided with active engagement with our active engagement with the judicial services, specifically the Shanzo law courts, that we consider it as the mother of alternative justice system for people with substance use disorders. Because upon the initiation of the methadone program, we were worried for the failure of the program, because most of our clients will end up with conflict of the law. And we thought with the methadone program, it is not going to be possible, as once they get into the wrong side of the law, they will end up in correction facilities, and it will be the end of the program. And by then, it was very difficult for the prison services to provide services for people with drug and substance use disorder. It was not possible for for a drug user to get any sort of service. So at this juncture, I express our heartfelt appreciation and salute to UNODC, the Mainland Foundation of Netherlands, and the Open Society for their farsightedness on support, training, capacity building, and exposure to international arena and conferences that helped to shape the success and the future of harm reduction programs in Mombasa and the Kenya coast. Our holistic approach in public government CSO partnership enabled us to achieve a couple of firsts. We were able to break the barriers of the police power. We were able to walk past the corridors of justice. We were able to scale up the walls of correction facilities. We were able to bring on board hostile general community to health and harm reduction services, not forgetting the Ministry of Health or the Department of Health from the county governments, who ultimately overcame stigma against people who use drugs and came to terms with the important public health intervention our frontline service providers were providing in drug drains all over our coverage areas. We are providing harm reduction services to our clients. The noble partnership between the Department of Health, the police, judiciary, probation, prison, and the public gave rise to a series of interventions on different forms of dispute resolution mechanism for people with substance use disorders in Mombasa here in Kenya. Release from police custody for petty drug-related offenses was possible. Counseling and commitment to community service orders through probation services upon referral from the justice corridors was also something that was achievable and doable. Enrollment to methadone programs and drug treatment facilities and counseling options was something that we also were able to achieve. Remand to custody between 1 to 3 months with counseling and monitoring options or services for troublesome clients with substance use disorders was also available. Instead of them being sentenced by the court of laws, those with petty crime offenses were actually remanded at the correction facilities while undergoing some counseling session to determine improvement of behavior. Family integration and support services were another important aspect of our achievement that enabled reunion and reconciliation, giving support to learning and employment opportunities. Another notable success that we were able to achieve through alternative justice system was the young boys, school-age boys and girls in conflict of the law, of the land, of the laws of the school. Initially, it was an automatic suspension from the institution they were actually in, but through alternative justice system and reconciliation program, we were able actually to receive them to our drop-in centers where they will be accorded counseling services, and upon completion of the sessions, they will be actually given reports and returned back to school, unlike before where they will be actually dismissed, automatic dismissal for those who are actually using drugs in a public or private institution. In 2019, the corona pandemic had serious impact to the work that we have been doing, but we managed to successfully push for the establishment of medically assisted therapy facility at the Shimulatewa Maximum Prison here in Mombasa. It was a great achievement where the methadone program was rolled out within the prison compound. This was a big achievement for Kenya and mainland Africa, as it was one of the few facilities, if not the first, to be actually established. Upon another successful intervention, that we can actually call upon, is the upgrade of the Shimulatewa law courts from a single courtroom house. It has now been expanded to a fully fledged court where it is now housing 4 different courts, and most of the apart from the pirates, is also handling drug traffickers, crimes, and they have been very, very helpful for harm reduction intervention. So in a nutshell, our achievement has been provision of continuum of harm reduction services without stop for people with substance use disorder in conflict with the law. This has improved health and human rights services, and another important aspect is the learning side. Our programs, our DICs, our institutions, MEWA is now a learning site from most of African countries, and even other countries from away from Africa have been coming to Mombasa, Kenya to benchmark and see the good work that we have been doing through the years. And thanks to you, NODC, who have been doing most of their training at the coastal city of Mombasa, whereby they will also have the opportunity to come and see the drug programs that are being undergoing here. Another worthwhile point to note is we began to inform you that we began the alternative justice system in 2015. While the National Alternative Justice System Policy of Kenya was actually launched by our former Chief Justice, David Maraga, in August 28, 2020. So we actually, the CSOs and the local government institutions embarked on the IGS program 5 years before the launch of the national policy. Additionally, it is for this reason that we applaud the Kenyan government through NACADA and UNODC for taking the initiative to lead the rollout of the Mombasa initiative of ATI to bring it here in Mombasa. We believe that this will achieve the desired objective and help to roll the program to the rest of the country. And we wish you all every success in the good work that we'll be doing. Once again, my name is Hussein Taib, and I'm the head of advocacy, Mewa Health and Harm Reduction Services. We call ourselves the home of harm reduction in Kenya. Thank you very much. Na karibuni Kenya.
Thank you very much, Hussein. I quite agree with Hussein, especially when he mentioned about the COVID-19. The COVID-19 really posed us a challenge for the criminal justice system and for the advocates of alternatives to incarceration. But also the COVID-19 actually gave us an opportunity to actually leverage and maximize the use of technology. So I enjoin everyone to really use the technology in favor of us on how to really advance alternatives to incarceration. So those have been our three speakers from Kenya. Now we will be moving to Kazakhstan. Our speaker is Ardak Zanabilova, the head of the Public Foundation Human Rights Monitoring Center. Ardak.
Большое спасибо за предоставленную возможность участвовать сегодня и выступать в вашей коалиции. Очень приятно было иметь дело с некоторыми членами из коалиции. Поэтому я бы хотела сегодня выступить по общественному контролю в местах лишения свободы. Общественный контроль в местах лишения свободы – это законное, скажем, узаконен общественный контроль в Казахстане, работает на основании закона с 2005 года. Вот. И мне бы хотелось начать немножко с численности тюремного населения. Небольшая статистика. В последние годы численность тюремного населения в Казахстане увеличилась на 5%. Ну и последние десятилетия уголовная политика трансформировала сокращение тюремного населения, гуманизацию уголовного условий содержания в местах лишения свободы, имплементацию международных правовых актов в национальном законодательстве и расширение сфер применения альтернативных мер, непенитенциарных санкций в том числе, и развитие службы пробации. Нужно отметить, что в 2005 году были введены изменения в законодательстве, для того, чтобы узаконить общественный контроль в тюрьмах. Общественный контроль тюрем вошел уже непосредственно в кодексы, Уголовно-исполнительный кодекс в расширенном виде с 2014 года. Мониторинг мест лишения свободы общественниками проводится с 2003 года и является неотъемлемой частью работы по соблюдению прав человека в местах лишения свободы. Мы создаем общественную комиссию до 9 человек регионально, и эти комиссии непосредственно являются правозащитниками, юристами, врачами, журналистами. Все члены общественно-наблюдательной комиссии являются независимыми. Они независимы друг от друга. Выбирается председатель, создается протокол, и выписка из которого направляется в исполнительный орган уголовно-исполнительной системы непосредственно и системы департамента полиции. У нас 2 общественных контроля по 2 учреждениям. Один из них по тюремной системе, второй по МВД. И есть 2 непосредственных закона, которые определяют общественно-наблюдательный контроль. Это выписка из протокола и список непосредственно членов комиссии является основанием для начала работы общественно-наблюдательной комиссии. Члены общественно-наблюдательной комиссии имеют беспрепятственный доступ в учреждение без проволочек по удостоверению личности, потому что общественно-наблюдательная комиссия не является юридическим лицом. И, как правило, она базируется на организации председателя общественно-наблюдательной комиссии. Нам разрешены фото, видеосъемки, и мы ведем такую документированную фото- и видеосъемки только с разрешения непосредственно заключенных, осужденных лиц. Взаимодействие с государственными органами. В первую очередь мы взаимодействуем, конечно, с государственными органами, профильными министерствами всеми, Генеральной прокуратурой, региональными прокурорами, специализированными прокурорами по надзору за непосредственно учреждениями и непосредственно с Министерством внутренних дел, с департаментами полиции регионов, Комитетом уголовно-исполнительной системы МВД Республики Казахстан и региональными департаментами уголовно-исполнительной системы, со службой пробации, акиматами, это непосредственно региональные главы гражданского общества, судами, в парламентом. Дело в том, что у нас большой опыт взаимодействия с парламентом. Мы участвовали в нескольких рабочих группах в парламенте по внесению изменений в некоторые законодательные акты непосредственно по работе нашей. Мы давали предложения, которые были учтены во многих случаях. Непосредственно общественный контроль, я говорила уже, завязан на Уголовно-исполнительном кодексе. Статья 31, ему посвящена целая глава 8. Общественный контроль в форме деятельности общественных наблюдательных комиссий национального превентивного механизма осуществляется в соответствии с главами 8 и 9 настоящего кодекса. В принципе общественного контроля является соблюдение конституционных прав, свобод и законных интересов человека и гражданина, законность, объективность, добровольность участия граждан, открытость и прозрачность мероприятий, результатов с учетом условий исполнения наказания, периодичность и оперативность, обязанность письменного документирования результатов, обязанность реагирования органа государственной власти предоставлять письменные заключения по результатам общественного контроля, запрет преследования гражданина в связи с его участием в осуществлении общественного контроля. Задачами общественного контроля является содействие учету общественных интересов при совершенствовании нормативно-правовых актов и правоприменительной практики исполнения и отбывания наказания и иных мер уголовно-правового воздействия. Это непосредственно то, что я уже говорила выше. Повышение уровня прозрачности деятельности учреждений и органов, исполняющих наказания для общественности. Повышение уровня защиты прав, свобод и законных интересов осужденных. Принятие мер по устранению причин и условий, способствующих нарушению прав, свобод и законных интересов осужденных. Участие в оценке эффективности деятельности учреждений и органов, исполняющих наказания, а также их вышестоящих органов. Глава 8. Общественно-наблюдательная комиссия. Она определяется непосредственно статьями в законе. Это статья 33. Расписаны основы деятельности общественно-наблюдательной комиссии. Статья 34. Порядок образования общественно-наблюдательной комиссии. Статья 35. Требования к членам общественно-наблюдательной комиссии. Статья 36. Права и обязанности члена общественно-наблюдательной комиссии. Статья 36. Права и обязанности комиссии. Прекращение полномочий членов и формы деятельности общественного. Также есть у нас закон о порядке и условиях лиц, специальных учреждений, специальных помещений. Изоляцию от общества Республики Казахстан от 30 марта. Общественный контроль осуществляется общественными.
Interpreter, please switch to English, please. Interpreter, please switch to English.
Содержание медико-санитарного обеспечения, организации труда, досуга, обучения, предусмотренных законодательством Республики Казахстан. Общественный контроль специальных учреждений в форме деятельности общественных наблюдательных комиссий осуществляется в соответствии со статьями, которые были указаны. При осуществлении общественного контроля не допускается вмешательство в деятельность специальных учреждений, а также оперативно-розыскную, контрразведывательную, уголовно-процессуальную деятельность производства по делам об административных правонарушениях. Статья 51. Полномочия общественной комиссии. Полномочия общественно-наблюдательной комиссии, а также члены общественно-наблюдательной комиссии в составе не менее 2 членов подают специальные учреждения в порядке, определенном центральным исполнительным органом. Беседовать с лицами, содержащимися в специальных учреждениях при наличии согласия указанных лиц, а также принимать обращения, жалобы по вопросам нарушения их прав и законных интересов. Дело в том, что мы принимаем жалобы, что называется, из рук в руки. Мы не передаем жалобы непосредственно в учреждение, администрацию учреждения. Мы принимаем жалобы непосредственно из рук в руки и отвечаем на эти жалобы. Если есть такая возможность, то сразу. Если нет возможности, то в письменном виде, либо по приезде следующий приезд. Обращаться с заявлениями к администрации специальных учреждений или органам прокуратуры по вопросам, связанным с обеспечением прав и законных интересов лиц, содержащихся в специальных учреждениях. Ну и если нам необходимо непосредственно ответить на вопросы или при участии непосредственно администрации учреждения, мы их письменно уведомляем о той или иной просьбе осужденного. На период введения режима особых условий в специальных учреждениях полномочия общественно-наблюдательной комиссии по посещению указанных учреждений приостанавливается. Это один из аспектов, который остался у нас еще с первого законодательного акта, за который мы постоянно боремся и просим убрать данную позицию, потому что именно в введении чрезвычайных ситуаций наша помощь имеет большое значение. Даже во время ковида непосредственно Министерство внутренних дел и Комитет уголовно-исполнительной системы приняли решение о том, что мы при соблюдении определенных санитарных норм можем посещать учреждения беспрепятственно, все продолжать, чтобы, наоборот, более, скажем так, тщательно наблюдать за условиями содержаниями в изоляции, в условиях полной изоляции. При исполнении своих полномочий общественно-наблюдательная комиссия обязана соблюдать положения нормативно-правовых актов, обеспечивающих деятельность специальных учреждений, а также подчиняться законным требованиям администрации указанных учреждений. Проведение мероприятий общественного контроля не должны создавать препятствия осуществлению процессуальных действий. Но дело в том, что раньше у нас эта статья работала, теперь она не работает, потому что мы добились того, что именно непосредственно при проведении обысковых мероприятий, они считаются оперативно-режимными, и как раз-таки мы получили официальное право от Комитета уголовно-исполнительной системы проводить мониторинг в этот период в учреждениях. Поэтому я считаю, что эта статья уже изжила свое, как говорится, полностью свою значимость. Ну, в мировом рейтинге тюремное население Казахстана занимает 86 место на 100 тысяч населения. Но наблюдается динамика роста, как я уже сказала, это 4,8%. Учреждений у нас всего 62, следственных изоляторов 16, содержится около 37 тысяч человек на 1 апреля 2024 года, ну, 36 500, скажем. Из них осужденных 31 900 человек, женщин 2500, не связанных с изоляцией от общества 28 500 человек. Несовершеннолетних находятся в местах лишения свободы 49, из них 4 девочки. У меня все. Большое спасибо.
Thank you very much, Ardak. I hold my comments. I'll turn over the floor to my partner, to my co-chair, Dr. Delet.
Большое спасибо, Арис. Здравствуйте, участники сегодняшнего заседания нашей рабочей группы. У нас осталось 9 минут. Мы прослушали 4 очень интересных информативных доклада о роли неправительственных организаций и очень важно отметить о взаимодействии с государственными органами на примере Кении и Казахстана. А теперь пришло время для комментариев, время для вопросов. Мы приглашаем вас задавать вопросы. Можете задавать их через чат или поднять руку, мы вам предоставим слово. Пожалуйста, уважаемые участники,